Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Rebuilding Phase event. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for sticking with me this far. If this is the first video that you're watching, my name's Alyssa. I haven't been introducing myself. So my name's Alyssa. I'm an astrologer and a mindset coach, and I am trying to help as many people as possible use astrology to improve their life, to have more self-compassion, more self-trust, and more self-awareness. I'm so excited about my guest today. And we're going to talk about manifestation and how Saturn impacts your manifestation and manifesting throughout your 30s, right? Because it changes. So I'm going to let my guest introduce herself. Giorgia, will you introduce yourself?
Hi, Alyssa. I'm Giorgia. Giorgia Pecora. I'm the founder of Visionary Astrology. So I'm a teacher of astrology. I'm an astrologer. I breathe astrology and planets in all possible forms. So yeah, when there are like some conversations about planets and creation and vision, I couldn't refuse that. So that's that's why I'm here.
Thank you so much. Yes. And Georgia has a lot of Aquarius placements as well. So very juicy. She's been in Saturn's workshop her whole life. So let's get into the questions and the interview and let's talk about it. So when we think about, let's think big picture. When we think about our path toward manifestation in our 30s and with Saturn guiding us, how does Saturn guide our manifestation journey differently than other planets?
Yeah. So the first thing that we want to think about, I'll just give like a very quick overview because I don't know what is the level of astrology of people. You see, that's the teacher in me. Like, I want
Mhm.
everyone
Yeah.
to be on board, right?
Mhm.
Every planet, we could think of them as different players of a story, right? When we're watching a movie, we go like the main character and we go the helper and we go the one is a bit nerdy. So, and every planet has a different function. Like we go Jupiter is like, these are the ways in which I can expand. Venus, this is the way in which I can attract something. Mars is the pursuer, is the soldier within us. And Saturn is the one that says, okay, look, this is very beautiful. This is really interesting, but you got to show me the structure. So show me the discipline. It's like, how you going to get there? Show me what you're willing to build brick by brick, even if it's a bit boring. Because you see, that's, I think, usually the problem with Saturn, because Saturn requires work, but sometimes we don't want to do what that requires. It's like, I want to have a very nice body. It's a very practical thing, but I need to go to the gym. I need to eat properly. I need to sleep 8 hours a day. That's Saturn. It's just like, which are the practical steps that you need to get from A to B. So you see, in this case, manifestation in the Saturn sense, not about calling something in, is about becoming the person that can hold you what you're calling in. Is the foundation. Saturn, every planet is connected to the part of the body. And Saturn has to do with our spine and our bones. And if we think of it, this is the part of the body that makes us stand. And also we see that when we're going out into the world, when we're having a posture like this, it's just like, okay, things are not moving. You could really see. But it's just like, if I have in this posture and the light, I'm present, I'm in this stillness, I can fully embody Saturn. So basically, if Saturn will be a person in our personal story, is the architect, because it's like every other planet can give you the vision, but Saturn is the one that gives you the tools and says, okay, let's build this.
Mm,
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah. And I love that analogy of like tools with Saturn because it does take work to do like Saturn work, I think is for a lot of people the hardest archetypal work of the planets, you know. We're excited to do Venus work, right? Connecting with other people and what do we like and what do we enjoy, right? We're excited to do sun work because we're getting that attention that we need so badly. Sometimes moon work is difficult, you know, emotional if you're not in touch with your emotions or you don't know how to process your emotions in a healthy way. But that Saturn work almost always gets everybody. So I love how you said, you know, reminding us that Saturn rules the bones and the structure of our life. And it's so important that you have structure to your life as you're trying to call in these huge manifestations. And I think that people get confused and think that it's not coming in because they don't deserve it or, you know, their brain comes up with some type of hurtful reason that their manifestations are not here. But sometimes it's just that you're not ready yet. You just haven't done that Saturn work. So thank you so much for that. So you're gonna walk us through specific ages and eras of Saturn in our life, in our Saturn cycle. Can you explain these particular like ages and what Saturn does at those certain times in our life?
Yeah, is that okay for you if I share something that I prepared? Just like it's a small visual, just to give this
Absolutely.
idea of spiral, right? So I don't know if you can see that right now,
Yes.
but the idea is, Saturn is also the lord of time. So every 7 years is going like to a specific position in order to do some sort of a check-in. So you see, when we're looking at the spiral, it's not something new, but just we are adding something into the story. So, since we're talking about our 30s, I think it would be nice today to talk about what is happening from the age of 21, 28, 35. Maybe eventually we're going to mention a couple of things about 42. But the point is, in order to understand our present, we need to understand also our past, right? Because there's always this constant process of becoming. So, the first one, like 21. 21, there is what we call in astrology there is a square going on. So basically, what gets planned at the age of 21 is the starting point of our story. So this is like the first thing that I would suggest for people that are listening to do, is just like if you think about yourself in the age of 21, and the first big thing that you had to do, the contract, or maybe you have to relocate to a new country, because this is what Saturn is about. Like, which are the practical things or the practical choices that you had to take in order to grow as an adult? Because this is the place that requires maturation, but also not the most comfortable one. Is this thing that you were saying earlier. One of the things that I noticed with Saturn is that sometimes something is not coming to us, and that people are like, okay, because then this is not meant to be. And this is not what Saturn is about. It does the opposite. It's like it is putting the obstacle for a very specific reason. It's like, okay, I want to see how much you believe in this. Because if at the first obstacle you're going to stop, probably this means that it's not that important after all, right? Everyone could do it. And the first time in which we get that is at the age of 21, because, that's the first stage of being an adult, like not legally, not socially, but internally, I would say. So Saturn at 21 is the first time that the universe stops on you and says like, okay, look, you are not a kid anymore, and even if you're still probably like one, what are you going to take responsibility for? So what gets planned here is a direction, not the destination, just the direction, the orientation. So maybe the career path that you're dreaming about, the relationship dynamic that you're learning, like the first big love, or like you're getting your master's, or so. And what I notice, it's interesting because we tend to underestimate 21 because it feels a bit unformed, a bit chaotic. Also depends on the culture. So I'm from Italy, and
Yeah.
like usually at the age of 21, you're still staying at your parents' place. So this doesn't apply for everyone in the same way. But it is like the seeds are tiny, but they are there, right? So then the question is, for those of you who know astrology, there could be some practical things, but just think about where your life felt heavy at 21. Where did you feel like you had to grow up too fast? What you were suddenly responsible for? Money, relationship, family situation. So that's the first seed. Then, and the very important one is what we call the Saturn return. So between the age of 28 and 29, we got this thing that is called Saturn return. And in terms of manifestation, what happens? We got our first big check-in. It's the first big threshold in our adult life. Like, I left the city, the relationship and the job and also it doesn't have to be always like that, Alyssa. I mean, you know that. And like a Saturn return is checking if you're on track. Because there are also some Saturn return stories that are great. I had a great Saturn return, to be honest with you, because I knew astrology back then. And in my case, there was something going on around my career that I was working, like, I was doing lots of small jobs, also was having a boss, and my chart was clearly saying, look, you have to start your own thing. And Saturn rules the year. So it's normal to have like, it is something that comes so easily. This is not a Saturn business, because Saturn is just like, you're going to jump. If you trust, like the fact that you have enough authority to do something, something's going to happen.
Hmm.
And actually, that's what happened to me. But it was really scary. I remember going to the city hall and register my business, and my mom called on my way to the city hall. She was like, what are you doing? And she's like, are you thinking about leaving the job? But maybe you can get a job in another office. And I remember literally telling to my mom, is like, Mom, you're being my Saturn right now, just like this external authority. And my mom is like, what? And I'm like, forget about it. Just like this is the external authority trying to test what I want to do. So, and that's the idea of the Saturn return. It's just like it's a check-in through all the structures that you built in your 20s and asking, is this yours? Did you build this? Or you took this from someone else? Because Saturn rules karma and conditioning. So many of the things that we do, especially until the age of 28, 29, maybe this is not our dream. This is the dream of someone else, but we haven't realized this before. I mean, many times it's like, yeah, I studied law because my father was a lawyer and my grandfather was a lawyer. But actually, when I was 15, I was really interested in graphic design, but it's just leap away. And this was the case during the Saturn return. Probably you're going to go, to uni to teach this thing and be like, I don't like this. I really don't like this. I want to do this other thing. So this is the moment in which we wanna change a couple of things. And then the question is, how do I recognize that? Saturn loves to tear walls apart. It's just like it's something, this is the planet of deprivation. You get deprived of something. And it's not because it's cruel. And that's the problem with the archetype, because it's like, why does it have to be so heavy? No, it's just like you cannot live in a house that is not yours anymore. So a falling apart is not a falling apart, it's a clearing. So what feels like a loss, once you're done with the Saturn journey, you realize it's like, oh, we are making space, we are making room for the real thing that I need to build right now that belongs to me, right? And then we are having 35, 36, we are having what we call the 36, 37, the second square. So you're having another check-in. So think about the seed at 21, think about the realization 29, 30. And depending on the answers, because, sometimes I talk with clients and they're like, I'm not ready to jump. I can see what you're saying. I want to do this other thing. And I'm like, look, again, it's the Lord of time. Take your sweet time. But let me tell you, if there is something that you know deep down in your heart that you need to do now, you're not doing this is going to come back. But 7 years later, also the conditions will be different. You won't have the same energy. Maybe we'll have 2 children. Like that. It's not going to be easier. That's what I'm trying to say. So I'm like, something that needs to be faced, it's just going to come back to us. So how this is connected to what was going on, also at the age of 21. It's like, there is this mirror here, right? And to be honest with you, this is one of my favorite ages to read. I just get out of that. I'm 38. Because Saturn is like, look, did you remember the direction that you chose at 21? Like, I was like, do you remember these values that you were, interested in, the things that you were arguing for? Are you still living by them? Are you interested in that? Are you becoming the adult version you said you wanted to be back then? Are you following the dream? Or you compromised? Because what we tend to do when we don't listen to our Saturn call, our inner authority, our inner wisdom, I'm an adult, I am myself beyond what my family, my lineage, my culture wants from me, is about recognizing yourself. So now we can test the things that we planted at 21 and the things we tried to understand at the age of 29. So seed, realization, and then 36, 37, we have a recommitment. And you see, this is not a new path. It's more like a deeper commitment to a path that you're already on. Or a recognition with the fact that you're in a path that is really not yours. Because, with the Saturn return, 28, 29, we can still sort it out. The square is like, And if you think of it, this is usually the age when people leave marriages, they switch career, they start the thing they've been talking about like for ages. So it feels dramatic, but this is Saturn helping you to correct the course of your life. So then the manifestation question would be, what do I want to do for the next bit of my life? And whatever you answer with Saturn, we can start building something. So that's with the 30s. I can add another point, but maybe we could do this later. Yeah.
That is a glorious, gorgeous explanation. Okay, so there's so much. So it's
Yeah.
interesting. I'm doing that thing where, and my other astrology practitioners out there probably know, where I haven't looked at my own chart in so long because I've been doing so much client work. And so as you were saying that, I was reflecting on my own life. And at 21, my dad died and I moved out of my mom's house. So literally me and my best friends had signed the lease. And then my dad died that week and they were moving my stuff while I was at his funeral. So they like moved. So I just left my mom's house, went to the funeral, and then went to my new apartment that night. And then at 28, I had my daughter. And so my Saturn is in the fourth house of Capricorn. So family, right? So I had this story at leaving my mom's house, and me and her kind of left on a bad note. We were like fighting, and I was like, I'm moving out. And so it's that. And then this found family and my friends that were like, no, come move in with us. Then I had my daughter. So there's another element of family. And then now I'm 35. I'll be turning 36 next year. My mom is moving in with me and retiring. So where isn't that like it's right there. Isn't that so crazy? So I was reflecting on that as you were saying that, like, oh, the story's there if you
And
just
there
pay
is
attention to it.
there is always a thread, because you see, if you look at the astrology, look at the houses, you could see the topics.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I go with this with my clients, there is always something there, and then once we build the arc,
Mm-hmm.
it's like
It's right.
hell,
It's right.
like it's
Yeah.
my dream.
Right,
Yeah.
right. It's so, so beautiful. And so I love also what you said about really reckoning with the cost of the manifestation, like the cost of this path. And Saturn continuously coming in and checking in with you and saying, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? Right. And the energy, like you said, of teaching via deprivation, like teaching via taking away. And it's painful because we as humans get very attached to our stuff and our things and our people, but it's so beautiful. I love it. I'm obsessed with it. I think that was a great explanation. Thank you
Yeah,
so
it's
much for that.
also, this was interesting, Alyssa. Sorry for interrupting you, because
Okay.
also Saturn is the lord of matter, right, of practical things,
Mm-hmm.
but also being the lord of timing is almost this reminder, like there is a time for everything. And I think that's the reason why we have such a difficult time with Saturn to accept it. We got seasons, we got moments, but we always want to be in this moment of like doing and pushing and creating, but we are like seasons.
Yeah.
Is it like we can be in this constant summer moment, and Saturn knows it's just like, look, you can't always push. And also the practical things that we have are like a physical manifestation in the body, because what happens with the elements happens within us. You start having back pain, it's a Saturn issue. And knees is connected also with Saturn, same problem. It's the planet of aging. When we are connected to things that are not really aligned with us, we age faster,
Mm.
right? I saw things with Saturn transits. It's like when you're kind of out of alignment, sometimes you look at pictures like, oh my God, look so much older. But then what happens? When you align with your things, you are glowing again,
Mm-hmm.
right? That sort of just kind of disappear, right? Yeah. Anyway, just a thought that just
Yeah, I love that. I
um,
love that so much. Yeah, and you see people that are in their 20s and they look 30, they look 40, and you're like, "Are you okay?" Or people in their 30s that look 50 and it's like, what's going on? And so much. Again, I love how you mentioned the like almost like this energetic reverse aging. And you meet people in their 60s and 70s that look 40 and 50 because they are so on their path. They're so aligned, and so I love that you brought that up. Did you have another thing that you wanted to share? The another like screen share that you wanted to share?
yeah, this is like, because it was like how to look at things in the chart, but I think it's complex. I think I would like to add just the element of 42,
Yeah.
like as the continuation of the arc.
Mhm.
Because I think one of the practical problems is that we don't know about these stories. So
Mhm.
the problem is like we're not yet. So for me, that I just finished the square, I'm like, okay, I'm putting the seeds for the next 7 years. And then usually what happens at 42, 43, we have what we call the midlife crisis. So there
Mhm.
are so many things going on around that age. But it's just like whatever we are preparing, 21, 36, 42 is the realization of that. So it's also important that we give time to whatever we are realigning and recommitting at the age of 36, just to not rush. So this is also the problem is like, Why we are such in a rush for things? It's just like, why? Because at 42, we're being shown. Just like, okay, I want to see how honest you are with yourself. What is your own relationship with patience? Are you
Mm.
being patient enough? Or if you've been not listening at all to anything, everything then is gonna fall apart. We're gonna have a real crisis because you see here there are these numbers that I'm showing, it's like 21 and 50. Like this is a cycle, it's a spiral that repeats. So what happens at 42 is a mirror of what was happening at 14. That was like the first Saturn issue with the opposition, in which we realize we are independent creatures outside our parents. It's when the moments in which we find the authority, Mom, you don't tell me what to do, right?
Mhm.
42, if we didn't process our teenagerhood, this is gonna come again. And we're gonna go into this the teenagerhood, or like the rebellion that we didn't have,
Mhm.
because probably we didn't have any structure back then, and this is gonna come back to us. So this just quickly to say that I like these 7-year processes, give it time to be there. And if by the age of 42, you want to be in this state of like alignment or connection or whatever you want to call it, it's important that at the age of 35, 36, we'd really contemplate what is going on, because this just doesn't disappear. So it's just part of a bigger game.
Yes, I love it. I love it so much. So you mentioned that, Saturn helps us to plant our seeds of manifestation or grow our seeds of manifestation, essentially. So how would you recommend that people plant those seeds consciously, knowing that Saturn's going to test it and ask them, are you sure? Are you sure that you want this?
Yeah, I mean, I think like there are some practical actions that we want to take. So the first one has to do with inner authority. So is our like really observing what is our relationship with authority? Because it's like if I have a difficult relationship with authority, it's gonna be difficult for me to become an authority myself,
Mhm.
basically. So you can be something you don't recognize or you don't respect, right? So if we had, usually the first authorities in our lives are our parents. So if we have a difficult relationship with them, I would inquire that, and not necessarily directly with them. So it could be with a therapist or a program or some sort of inner work, whatever works the best for you. But it's like that is a conversation that need to take place. And if we feel some of the role models we had were not very inspiring to build up, our structure, to find some external role models, especially during these Saturn times we were talking about, in which we feel a bit lost. So it could be a mentor, it could be a therapist, it could be an astrologer, it could be a coach, like someone that could represent a new role model we can get inspired by. The second thing that we want to do is to try to think on a long-term vision, because Saturn loves longer processes, and just try to break this down. Because, sometimes we just close our eyes, and sometimes as my clients, it's just like, okay, do you want to open your own business, but what's your vision like in 10 years time? People are like, I don't know. But like Saturn is about this exercise. It's just like, it's important that you have such a strong vision. And this doesn't mean that it's going to end up that way. It's just not about that. It's just about the point of giving yourself like the inner structure, the inner belief that something long could be built out of you, because that requires responsibility and that requires integrity. So no one is going to save you. And having this vision is going to make you closer to that process. The third practical thing that we want to do, for those of you who are interested in astrology, in astrology, we got like 12 different slices. I think this I can, I'm going to show it. I'm going to show it here. So you see a natal chart looks like this, and you see that there are like these 12 slices, and each house represents a different topic. So where Saturn is located, it's where things are delayed. So here we have a massive advantage, because if I know that in that area of our life, I need to work more than others, it's going to take a bit longer for me. And for some other people, it's going to take slower. Once I know what is the house in which your Saturn is, my recommendation is like, start to build, be patient, take your time, and be persistent. And if you got the tip from the universe, lots of things are gonna be a way easier. Because if I would have known my astrology, when I had my Saturn return, I would have thought like, okay, I don't know what to do with my life. Nothing makes sense. And then I was looking at my Saturn. I'm like, no, 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 no. I know what the call is. Okay. So yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. And there have been, like, I can't overstate how much astrology has helped me in my life. It's helped me be nicer to myself. It's helped me be a better parent. It's helped me be a better friend. It's helped me be a better wife. It's helped me be so much more compassionate to people because I'm like, it's like I have a reason why this is happening, why you're acting this way, why you're reacting this way, all the things. Like I get it, right? Like somebody's in the throes of their Saturn return. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, I get it. You're having a hard time. So as we close here, for someone listening who wants to stop fighting their Saturn, like they see that, okay, they just came off their Saturn return, maybe, and then you catch your breath, and then at 35, 36, Saturn's right back on you, right? And so it's like, it's inevitable, kind of, it's not avoidable. So for someone that wants to start collaborating with Saturn and Saturn's manifestation process, what would you tell them? What's the first step? What mindset shift do they need to make?
Yeah, so here I think it's Saturn loves contemplation and loves the silence and presence. So I think it's really important to understand and also grief and process what ended during your Saturn return. Like sitting and trying to understand what is this part of my life that probably is not gonna come back anymore. So, and that's already half of the answer. So what ended? And then look at what started, like even in secret, like even with the small bits is the other half, because Saturn manifests through depriving, so like subtraction as much as addiction. So like the thing that you removed, we're making the space for something. So ask yourself, what was I wrong during that time that I dismiss as impractical? What did I keep coming back in my journal, with my friends, in my conversations, in my fantasies about having a different life? Because usually, this is what I notice with my clients. People know, like, what your Saturn stuff is. When I have I'm like, we both know what you want to do, but we're just acting, we don't know. So, and that's the manifestation that Saturn wants. It's just like, and the trick is that Saturn doesn't deliver the manifestation during the return. It opens the channel. So that's the reason why it's just important, like, to see and review what was happening there. So that would be my suggestion. Really observe, because every time a Saturn transit is over, that's the moment in which the revelation comes in.
Mm, Love it. I love it so much. Thank you so much. Can you tell everyone where to find you, what you're working on, how they can work with you if they so desire?
Yeah, so as I was saying, I do courses, I teach 101, I teach group, I do workshops, I do lots of writing. You can find me on Instagram. I'm quite active there. The name is Visionary Astrology, and then the same visionaryastrology.org is my website, and Giorgia Pecora, it's on Substack. So, but if you go on my Instagram, you're just gonna find all the magic links.
Beautiful. Thank you, Georgia, so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, everyone, thank you for being here. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments or email me or wherever you're seeing this. And I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something from it. And I will see you on the internet somewhere.